Reflective assessments. Oh, these are one of my favorite. Because I think when students do reflective assessments, I often feel like I'm touching on what's really important, because life is about looking back so we can move forward, right? Look at where we've been so we can just move straight ahead. And you haven't obtained it yet, but you're moving towards whatever that goal is. So that's what this project is about, is how can you make a reflective assessment that is meaningful to whatever your learning context is. So in here you can think about why this project matters. I gave you my 2 cents in there. Yes, in a sense, I did, step into self-determination theory because I went to belief systems, right? That hopefully it aligns with their beliefs. Relatedness, I can relate to them, and hopefully they're relating to the different aspects, and hopefully I'm building up competence, because really when you reflect, you are competent in yourself, and if not, somebody else can support you in that. And sometimes the fact that a reflective assessment does not give a summative grade necessarily, you can get an A in a reflective assessment, but maybe not in the entire course, but it allows you to say, hey, I have what it takes for what matters in life. So I think your competence is increased in that. And of course we have a growth mindset, right, in that, because we can just grow, and that's how we grow, right? In there, you're looking at that big weight, thinking about the gym, you're looking at that big weight and you're going, okay, how do I need to pick up that big weight? Do I need to use a lever? Do I need to use my arms? Do I need to use my legs? I know you can tell I'm thinking I need to work out later on today. I haven't yet this morning. All right, so other aspects about these reflective assessments and this assignment. You will have 3 things that you need to submit: your assessment tool that needs to be more student facing, your analysis document, and then some sort of note to whomever you think is the most important about why this is important. So like in the past, you have this one page that gives you an overview. You may delete this one page after you copy this over, and after you're finished, it's not needed. Remember, to delete a page, you click on the 3 dots and you can hit delete, right? But once it's deleted, it's gone. So remember that too. In the analysis page, in your analysis, this will lead you through the different parts of this and the questions that you want to answer. But when you do that, please make sure you answer things right underneath. But when you submit it to me, take out all my directions and stuff. You don't want it to look like, something you did in 6th grade. Although 6th grade was awesome. But, think of it as a report, your analysis or reflection, and you leave the numbers if you want to. You can take out the numbers. You can write a paragraph underneath. You can bullet point, but just take out all of my information in there. And of course, the assessment is right here, so you can look that over while you're doing this to hopefully achieve what you want to in this course. I'm going to point out some things to you while you're working on this. First, here's a 10-minute video on how I used AI for this. And I put this in there because sometimes people are wondering, how do I use AI in order to make an assessment? And so that's just an example of how I used it. And you can even, pause and look at some of my prompts and that in there. Then you can find some samples about how other students used their reflective assessments. And the samples that I put in there are really tied to content. And it's not that your assessment has to be tied to content. Your assessment could be tied to soft skills, executive functioning skills. However, I wanted to put these in here because those are the ones I think where people often get a little bit confused of how do I use a reflective assessment when it has to address my content. Let me see. I think that was the most important stuff in there that you will see. So don't forget that you have to do your assessment tool, your report, and kind of your whole assignment. And then also that in that somewhere having the why this is important, and deciding to put it into caregivers or the student, whoever's the most pertinent person or persons that read why this is important. With attention to linguistic diversity and accessibility, you might wonder how you're going to do that. That's not going to be graded super heavily. What you could do is you could always, put your letter in there in Spanish and put it into an AI agent and say, translate this. That would be a way to do it, or in Bengali or whatever language you might have to contend with. One of the other things that's also nice is putting in images. That's a little thing that we do. Making or using headings. Bullet points also makes things easier to read. So those are things that can make it, a little more accessible to people. And images, I think, are really helpful. And talking about images, one more thing. One of the things that you can think about it, if you are working with younger students, please make yours image intensive. Do not lean on writing so much, and that's okay. And you can even have a video or an audio or some recording to move along with this, just like I'm making for this, right? That's one of those things that helps with also your linguistic diversity and accessibility, right? If you have that video, if you have that audio, that then can be either translated, or let's say somebody can't read or doesn't have literacy, but they have that understanding in hearing something, it allows them that accessibility. Or you can always say, if you don't understand, please come talk to me about this, and that's fine too. So once again, excited about your reflective assessments, and can't wait to see what you come up with.